After losing my son, I faced heartbreak until an amazing revelation changed everything forever. Sarah sat on the edge of Tommy's unmade bed, the sunlight streaming through the window catching the dust motes that danced in the air. The walls were decorated with posters of superheroes and bright drawings from school, reminders of the joyful laughter that once filled their home. Now, it felt like a mausoleum. The ache in her chest was a heavy weight, a suffocating reminder that just 3 weeks ago, she had been a regular single mom navigating the joys and struggles of parenthood. And then, in an instant, life had shattered. Tommy, her sweet, adventurous 10-year-old, had been taken from her in a biking accident, a cruel twist of fate that left nothing but raw, unbearable grief in its wake. Just outside, the familiar sounds of children playing echoed through the neighborhood, a stark contrast to the silence that engulfed her. The once vibrant community had plunged into a gloomy haze, neighbors whispering and sharing sorrowful glances. Yet, in this dark time, they wrapped her in kindness. Lasagna appeared on her doorstep, flowers brightening her front porch, and shared stories told verses of Tommy's gentle spirit. It was a mosaic of community compassion, each gesture binding them closer together. As Sarah shuffled through Tommy's room, hoping to find a sliver of his essence in the chaos of memories, her fingers brushed against a stack of letters hidden beneath his bed. With trembling hands, she opened them one by one. They were heartfelt notes from his friends, kids she barely knew, pouring out their admiration and gratitude for Tommy. His quiet kindness had made them feel seen in a world that often overlooked them. Tears streamed down her face, for each word confirmed her son's legacy of love, bridging gaps beyond her understanding. In that moment, pride mixed with the pain, igniting a small flicker of resolve within her heart. She would honor him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sarah took matters into her own hands. With determination, she envisioned transforming the abandoned community center into a beacon of hope, a place where children from diverse backgrounds could confront their futures hand in hand. She envisioned mentorship programs, college application workshops. She could hear the joyous laughter ringing through the halls once more. However, like a storm cloud looming on the horizon, a greedy local politician stood in her way, intent on shuttering her dreams for a profit-driven project. The crushing blow of defeat crept in as early plans unraveled. But in a twist of fate, David, an honorable young man and one of Tommy's former students, re-entered her life fresh from military service, deeply affected by the impact Tommy had on him. His fierce determination and heartfelt support began to thaw the ice of despair that had formed around her heart. As Sarah and David rallied the community, the town hall's looming meeting felt like the final stand against the shadows of grief. Would she be strong enough to speak for Tommy's dream? Or would fear silence her when it mattered most? As her heart raced in anticipation, one thing was clear: in honor of her son's legacy, she would not give up. The time to fight for hope and for the children who needed it was now. Standing outside the town hall, Sarah felt the weight of both loss and determination surge through her. The old brick facade loomed above, a battleground where dreams and despair would clash. She could see the small crowd gathering, faces strained with expectancy. David stood next to her, his presence a solid reminder that she wasn't alone in this fight. "Are you ready?" he asked gently, his voice steady and encouraging. She took a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs but doing little to calm the racing of her heart. "I think so," she whispered, feeling the intensity of everything that was about to unfold. This was not just about the community center, it was about honoring Tommy, about ensuring that his kindness and spirit would continue to touch the lives of other children. She couldn't let the shadows of despair silence her son's legacy. As they stepped inside, the atmosphere felt electric. The room was packed with familiar faces, neighbors, fellow parents, kids who had known Tommy. Sarah felt their emotions wrap around her, a mixture of grief and resolve. She realized then how deeply woven they all were in this collective fabric of loss and hope. The meeting started with the local politician delivering his slick presentation, full of hollow promises about progress while painting over the community center with visions of a corporate chain store. Anger bubbled in Sarah's chest. It felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. When he finished, murmurs swept through the room. Sarah felt David's reassuring hand on her back, a silent reminder that she was meant to do this. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, she saw trust reflected back at her. She took a tentative step forward, gripping the podium, her palms sweaty. "Excuse me," she said, her voice quaking at first but growing stronger as she continued. "I know you all remember Tommy. He was just a kid, but he had a heart that could light up a room." Her voice cracked, and she swallowed hard. "He saw the best in everyone, and he wanted everyone to feel a sense of belonging." As she spoke, she caught the eyes of friends of Tommy, their nods and tears encouraging her. "This community center isn't just a building to us. It's a place where our children can learn, grow, and support one another, just like Tommy did." The tension in the room shifted, people leaned in closer, anchored by the pull of her words. She could see a few people whispering to one another, exchanging glances that spoke volumes. Perhaps this was taking root. David stepped forward beside her, adding his voice. "After coming back from the service, I realized that places like this are rare. They're not just structures, they're lifelines. We have a chance to create something meaningful, something that allows kids to dream, just like Tommy did." Sarah felt the warmth of hope dance in her heart. Their unity was palpable. Yet, she knew that not everyone would be swayed by their emotions and stories. The mayor's frown tightened as the community's support grew louder. Villagers began to speak up, moms, dads, even some kids sharing their own stories of Tommy and what the community center meant to them. Then came the moment she dreaded, the politician's rebuttal. He dismissed their hopes with cold efficiency, branding their dreams naive. A surge of frustration clawed at her insides. But she couldn't let it end here. "What if we come together," she proposed, her heart on fire. "What if we promise to keep this center alive with our own hands? To breathe life into it as Tommy would have?" A quiet fell over the room, each person absorbing the gravity of her words. But what if they didn't respond? What if her fears came true? Just then, one brave voice called out, "We stand with you, Sarah." The murmurs grew louder, rising like a wave. "Yes. We're with you. Let us make it happen." With renewed hope pulsing through her veins, Sarah could feel the community's revival. They were ready to fight as a family, united. Every heart beat along with hers in the rhythm of resilience. Yet, as the voices grew louder, she knew the fight was just beginning. Would they gain the support they needed to secure the community center, or was this merely the first skirmish in a battle that would test them all? The realization that their journey was only starting settled deep in her gut. "Together," she whispered, "together we can turn pain into purpose." There, in that crowded room, the stakes soared, and Sarah felt the push of something greater pulling at her heart. Would it be enough to change minds, and more importantly, would it be enough to heal? The room buzzed with energy, voices rising and falling in a hopeful torrent. Sarah glanced around at the faces, bright and determined. She could feel a current of unity course through them, a collective heartbeat resonating in the air. Each person seemed to embody a fragment of Tommy's spirit, but doubt lurked at the edges of her mind. Was this moment fleeting, or could it spark something lasting? As the murmurs crescendoed, David stepped back as the crowd became more animated, urging each other to share their thoughts and emotions. Sarah stood at the podium, absorbing the raw energy radiating from the crowd. This was her moment. Their moment. If they were to succeed, they needed to channel this fire into concrete action. "Let us organize a community meeting," shouted one mother, wiping her eyes. "We can plan how to save the center. We need events, fundraisers." More raised their voices, ideas flowing like water. And we can gather signatures. A petition. Another chimed in, a young boy beside her shouted, I want to paint a mural. A big one for Tommy. Laughter broke the tension momentarily, and Sarah caught sight of a glimmer of hope. As the overwhelming support began to materialize, it pulled her deeper into their shared mission. Yet, the specter of the mayor's dismissive expression haunted her thoughts. What if all this passion fell short when faced with the cold march of bureaucracy? All right, everyone. Sarah called out, her voice rising above the chaos. We need to get organized. Let us create committees for fundraising, outreach, and the design work for the mural. Her heart raced as they rallied around her. Ideas returned like boomerangs, and momentum began to build within the group. Sarah felt revitalized, her earlier fears slowly diminishing with every enthusiastic voice she heard, but as the meeting progressed, she couldn't shake the feeling that not everyone was on board. A few of the faces in the back remained stony, arms crossed. They watched with skepticism. Their presence was a stark reminder that this battle wouldn't be easily won. Sarah fought to quell her unease but then caught sight of David, his face a mixture of pride and concern. She knew he believed in her, the love in his eyes fueled her strength. Yet still, what if this united front crumbled when faced with the challenge ahead? David approached the podium, placing a hand on her shoulder. What if we invite the mayor to a community forum? His suggestion sparked a wave of murmurs. Let him see what this place means to us. Let him hear our stories. Would he even listen? Sarah asked, doubt creeping back in. He has to, David replied firmly. We won't go down without making our voices heard. A deep breath filled Sarah's lungs, and she nodded slowly, realizing this would mean exposing all the pain she had tried to channel into something more productive. But she needed to push through. For Tommy. With excitement brimming, the crowd erupted in supportive shouts, rallying around the idea of the forum. Plans were rapidly set in motion, cooperation blossoming like spring flowers after a long winter. Yet, as they discussed the logistics, Sarah's stomach twisted with fear. How would they make enough impact for the mayor to care? In that moment, a young girl stepped forward, clutching a piece of paper. I wrote a letter, she said shyly. Can I read it? Everyone quieted down, a hush settling over the room. Sarah nodded, heart in her throat. The girl's sweet, trembling voice filled the hall, reverberating with the innocence of hope and loss. Tommy was my best friend. He always shared his toys. Each word she spoke felt like a dagger but also a balm, a reminder of the childlike belief in the power of community. As the girl finished, tears flowed freely. Nobody spoke at first, the weight of their loss mingling with the unyielding hope that they would rise together. Sarah felt everyone's eyes on her, searching for direction in this emotional storm. Was she ready for what lay ahead? The flicker of doubt was soon extinguished by a rising tide of determination. She stepped forward. Again, the fire in her heart ablaze. We owe it to Tommy and to each other to make our voices matter. The crowd erupted into cheers, an overwhelming sense of shared purpose filling the air. But deep down, Sarah felt the pivotal moment approaching, one that would define everything. What kind of change could they unleash together? And what would they face when they confronted the mayor? Determination coursed through her veins, mingling with fear and hope. Could they really pull this off? The stakes had never felt higher. The days that followed were a whirlwind. The community forum buzzed with activity, and Sarah barely had a moment to catch her breath. Posters went up in shop windows, flyers fluttered through letterboxes. Everyone seemed to be putting their heart into this. People shared stories of Tommy, of their own children, of dreams that felt threatened. Each story solidified the bond that connected them all, but the echo of doubt still lingered in Sarah's mind. As the date for the forum approached, the feeling intensified. She and David spent countless nights planning. They prepared agendas, talked strategy, and gathered stories that would tug at the mayor's heartstrings. Yet, every time they imagined his reaction, a knot of fear tightened in Sarah's stomach. What if he brushed them off? What if everything they were building came crashing down because an important official didn't see their struggle? The forum day dawned bright, almost too bright for Sarah's anxious heart. She arrived early, nervous butterflies fluttering in her belly as she set up the community center's main hall. David was busy arranging the chairs, and kids were running around painting a makeshift mural of Tommy, laughter blending with their creative energy. Sarah watched them, seeing Tommy's spirit in those playful shouts and bold colors. "Hey," David said, stepping up beside her, arms crossed and eyes bright. "You ready for this?" She managed a smile, but inside, doubt still gnawed at her. "I don't know. What if we're just wasting our time?" David shrugged, his confidence shining through. "Even if we make a small difference, it's worth it. Besides, we're honoring Tommy. How can that be a waste?" His words settled in her heart, giving her courage. The hall filled fast, voices blending into a warm hum of excitement. When the mayor arrived, an uneasy silence fell, eyes shifting toward him like sunflowers following the sun. He was a big man, both in stature and presence, and Sarah's heart raced at the daunting nature of this confrontation. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice deep and steady. "I understand there are concerns regarding the future of the community center." Sarah felt the collective breaths around her, hope teetering on the edge of the unknown. As people began to share their stories, the room began to pulse with emotion. A mom spoke about her son finding safety and friendship at the center. Another man shared how he rediscovered joy there after hardship. And then came the stories about Tommy, filling the air with sorrow and bravery. Each tale wove a tapestry of connection, of love, and of a community unwilling to lose what held them together. At that moment, Sarah stood up. This was her chance. "Mr. Mayor," she said, her voice clearer than she felt, "we're not just fighting for a building. We're fighting for our families, our children, our future." The air thickened with emotion as her words unfolded. Tommy believed in this place. He believed it could make a difference. And we all do, too. A murmur swept through the crowd, urging her on. "We need you to see that this isn't just a community center, it's a lifeline. It's where our children thrive. It's where we build hope. We need your support." As silence enveloped the room, all eyes were on the mayor. Would he recognize the urgency? Would he choose to listen? When he opened his mouth to respond, everything stopped. But then, an unexpected sound broke the tension, a clatter from the back. A figure stumbled in, eyes wide and frantic. All heads turned. And there he was. A young boy, breathless and beaming with life, holding a banner that read, "We love Tommy." Was this the moment Sarah had been hoping for? Was this a sign that the power of their message could reach even further? As the crowd gasped, Sarah's heart raced. What could this unexpected interruption mean for their cause? The boy stood there, the sunlight catching the colorful letters painted on his banner. The room was frozen in disbelief, eyes darting between the young boy and the imposing figure of the mayor. Sarah's heart swelled with unexpected hope, a small flame igniting within her. She had thought the moment would be hers alone, that her words were the final push. But now, this child was ushering in something more. "Mom!" The boy shouted, his voice sheer innocence and joy. "Look at what I made." He waved the banner, the fabric fluttering wildly like the children's laughter that had filled the center just hours earlier. Everyone could see the love pouring from him. It was as if Tommy himself had stepped into the room. "Tommy would have loved this," Sarah whispered, her voice catching, trying to hold back tears. The children still painted their mural in the background, creating a tapestry of memories. Every stroke of paint carried laughter and a piece of Tommy's spirit. The mayor shifted in his stance, uncertainty mingling with surprise. He looked down at the boy, who was now surrounded by a handful of children, each eager to show their support. This was a moment Sarah hadn't anticipated, a young heart pulling at the strings of adult concerns. Wow, I can see how much this means to all of you, the mayor said, his voice softening, as he took a step forward. I'll admit, I didn't understand it all before. I thought it was just a building. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a blossoming awareness igniting in their souls. They had fought hard to put their love into words. Now, this innocent gesture was transforming that fight into something even deeper. Something raw and undeniably real. Mr. Mayor, Sarah found her voice rising again, energized by the boy's bravery. This is what we're fighting for. This community is a part of our lives. It's about more than just money, votes, or policies. It's about a home for our children. The room filled with voices, a chorus of earnestness echoing Sarah's sentiment. One by one, parents and children shared their hopes. My son learned to swim here, one father said. It's where he became brave. An older woman chimed in, I found family when I lost mine. With each story that followed, the tension melted into a shared purpose. The mayor's expression began to change. He looked around, visibly moved. The personal stories, the power of community, and the banner held aloft by a little boy became a wave of momentum. Hope surged through Sarah again, pushing back the shadow of self-doubt. Finally, when the chaos of voices slowed, the mayor inhaled deeply. You have all shown me something special today. And I promise, I will bring your concerns back to the council. We will discuss how to keep this community center open. It matters more than I realized. Cheers erupted, spontaneous and joyous, filling the air with laughter and relief. David grabbed Sarah's hand, squeezing it tightly. This was a breakthrough, but Sarah felt something stirred deep within her. A thought drifted through her mind. What if there were more steps to take, more battles to fight? As the crowd began to celebrate, Sarah noticed the little boy still holding his banner, eyes bright. She knelt down to him, excitement bubbling in her chest. What's your name? Ethan. He shouted, beaming. Ethan, she smiled, thank you for reminding us what this is all about. But even as she smiled, an unease tugged at her heart. This was a beginning, not an end. The crowd around her continued to erupt with joy, but the doubts lingered. Would this victory hold? Or would it slip away like so many promises had before? Just then, someone stepped forward from the back of the hall, a stranger whose presence cut through the elation, a sharp reminder that not all battles are won. Mr. Mayor, the figure said, a menacing tone sharpening the air, we need to talk about something very important. What could this unexpected confrontation mean for the community and their hard-fought victory? The room shifted again, the joyous atmosphere punctured by the stranger's words. Sarah's heart raced, the sense of celebration fading as the newcomer approached the mayor. The man was tall, dressed in a well-tailored suit that seemed out of place amidst the colorful chaos of the gathering. What is going on? David whispered, his grip on Sarah's hand tightening. She could feel his uncertainty radiating off him like heat from a flame. Let's just listen, Sarah replied, trying to keep her voice calm. Her eyes flickered from the stranger to Ethan, still clutching the banner. So, what's the urgency? The mayor asked, his brows furrowing as he shifted his focus. The shift in dynamics created an uncomfortable tension, the kind that crawled up the spine and made every heartbeat sound like a drum. Mr. Mayor, the stranger began, his voice low and steady, I represent some stakeholders who have a vested interest in that property. The community center is being flagged for redevelopment. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in the air, exploring the reactions around the room. Gasps echoed through the crowd, disbelief shooting through them. Sarah's stomach dropped. Ethan's innocent joy now seemed fragile, like a glass bauble that could shatter at any moment. Redevelopment? The mayor replied, incredulous. You can't be serious. I am, the stranger nodded. There are opportunities here, profitable ones. It's not just about the center, it's upgrading this part of town. You could make a lot of money if you allow the sale to go through. Money? Sarah's voice wavered, laced with disbelief. This isn't just a building. It's our lives, our community. She felt rage boiling inside her, and as she spoke, she recalled all the laughter, all the precious moments at the center. A collage of memories weighed against cold, hard cash. Look, no one's denying its value, but the stranger started, dismissively. No one's denying it? Sarah interrupted, her anger bubbling to the surface, distracting from the surge of fear growing within her. You think numbers matter more than lives? This is about our kids, their happiness, their safety. The stranger glanced at her, surprise dancing in his eyes. This fiery spirit wasn't what he expected, but it was clear he didn't care much about emotions. These are business decisions, he replied curtly. The crowd murmured, eyes wide with apprehension. The mayor, still processing this unexpected turn, rubbed the back of his neck, his earlier determination wavering like a candle's flame in the wind. Sarah sensed the mayor's resolve weakening. He needed them now more than ever. Everyone, listen. He called out, trying to center the room. We can discuss this further, we can push back. But we need to show strength, we need to unite. As people nodded in agreement, Sarah's mind raced. They had a moment of hope, but now the challenge multiplied. Ethan tugged at her sleeve, his small eyes shimmering with concern. Are we going to lose our center? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. That small question hit straight to her heart. She looked down at him, and in that moment, she knew deep down they had to fight, not just for the center, but for every child who deserved a safe space to grow. Ethan, we won't let that happen, she promised softly. But as she said it, doubt lingered in her heart, uncertainty shadowing her hope. Before she could respond further, the stranger interrupted again. If you put up resistance, it won't end well. You might want to think carefully about the next steps. With a wave of unease sweeping through the crowd, a collective tension built, and Sarah realized something important. This struggle was only beginning. The fight for their community was on the line, and time was not on their side. As the mayor prepared to address the crowd again, Sarah felt a powerful urge swell within her, a determination to protect what she cherished most. But the road ahead was unclear, and the stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined. What happens now? She thought, heart racing, as she faced the uncertain battle ahead. Would they band together, or shatter like glass? A hush fell over the gathering as the mayor straightened his posture, clearing his throat, and glanced at Sarah with a mix of concern and hope. I know this community center means the world to all of you. We've seen firsthand how it nurtures our kids, brings us together, and strengthens our bonds. We can't discount that. As the mayor spoke, Sarah's heart pounded in her ears. She felt a surge of pride for her community as heads nodded in agreement. This was it, they needed to harness that collective energy. Around her, families exchanged worried glances, voices murmuring anxiously, but she could see a flicker of resolve in their eyes. Let us organize a meeting. Someone shouted from the back, spurring Sarah on. We need to gather everyone. Show them we won't back down. Exactly. Another voice chimed in. We can gather petitions, maybe even hold a rally. Hope began to weave through the crowd, lifting spirits inch by inch. But the stranger stood unmoving, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. You really think a rally will change minds? He scoffed. You'll just attract attention from the wrong people. They won't listen to emotion. Maybe they will if we show them how much this place means to us. Sarah shot back, feeling the warmth of the community beginning to swell. We can make them hear us. We have to fight for our home. Ethan, tucked safely beside her, squeezed her hand tighter. His worried face stung, grounding her in the moment. She knelt down, looking him in the eye. Ethan, we're going to protect it. Trust me. The boy nodded solemnly, the innocence of childhood ignited by her soft conviction. She looked up to see others rallying around her. It was as if they formed a living wave, each pulse of energy building upon the last. Let us set a date. David shouted. We'll plan a town hall meeting. Everyone needs to be their families, friends, even local businesses. If we stand together to show we care. Sarah interjected, encouraged by his passion, heads bobbed and murmurs of agreement swelled, igniting flames of determination all around. But at that moment, the stranger unfolded his arms, clearly displeased. You can talk all you want, but know this, they will bulldoze your dreams if you don't comply. I'd rather fight than give up. Sarah shot back, conviction spilling from her with fiery certainty. This community has seen challenges before, and together, we've overcome them. The stranger opened his mouth for a retort, but the mayor jumped in. Enough of this. We are not going to let business interests sweep away the heart of our community. Everyone erupted in applause and cheers, the atmosphere transforming again, reshaping the fear into unity, but even as the buzz of excitement rippled through the audience, doubt clawed at Sarah's insides. An uneasy feeling danced underneath the surface. What if a meeting wasn't enough? What if their voices didn't reach the people with the power to change things? She glanced back at the stranger, whose expression had shifted from indifference to intrigue. There was something hidden behind those polished features, an emotion, perhaps? A crack in the armor that could either inspire a bridge or widen the divide. Who are you really? Sarah found herself asking, her voice steady. What do you stand to gain from taking away our center? His eyes narrowed, betraying a flicker of uncertainty. I'm merely here to do my job, he replied, but there was a new edge to his voice, a subtle hesitation. With a sudden surge of determination, Sarah knew they couldn't just gather for a meeting. They needed to dig deeper, unravel this man's true motives and draw out his hidden agenda. As the murmurs and cheers continued, her heart raced. This was just the beginning of something bigger, something that could change everything. Tomorrow, she whispered, we'll dig deeper. We'll figure out exactly what we're up against. But would they unearth something that could either empower them or tear them apart? As uncertainty loomed in the air heavy with anticipation, Sarah took a deep breath, knowing the real battle was yet to begin, but she wouldn't face it alone. What deeper connections awaited in the shadows? The morning light streamed through Sarah's window, casting golden patches across her room. She sat up slowly, still feeling the weight of the previous night's revelations pressing on her chest. Ethan was already up, drawing quietly at the kitchen table, his small brows knitted in concentration. Good morning, buddy, she called softly, trying to shake off her anxious thoughts. He looked up, a shy smile breaking the seriousness of sleep time. Good morning, Mom. Can I show you what I made? Sarah crossed the room, drawn in by his excitement. On the paper, bright colors danced: trees, a smiling sun, and what looked like their community center. Her heart warmed at the sight. It's beautiful. Is that the community center? Ethan nodded, eyes sparkling. Yeah. Can we make sure it stays? His innocent question hit her hard, igniting a fire in her gut. We will, she promised firmly. Today is about getting answers. After breakfast, Sarah gathered a small team. David and a few others met at her kitchen table, papers and pens laid out like a battle plan. The tension was palpable as they shared their fears and frustrations, but underneath it all was a shared resolve. I think if we can find out who owns the land, we might understand what we're really up against, David suggested. Maybe we can connect with them, reach out. Or approach them directly, Sarah added, her voice steady. We need to grasp their intentions, before they tackle our home with bulldozers like that man said. As they brainstormed ideas, Sarah's mind drifted back to the stranger's expression, almost contemplative, like he was wrestling with something. She felt the nagging urge to seek him out, as if he was a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. Fine, David said, slapping the table lightly. How about we split up? Some of us can look into the property records while others can try to locate that stranger again and see what more we can learn. Everyone nodded in agreement, excitement buzzing as they mapped out their efforts. Let us meet back here this evening with what we find, she concluded, determination reflecting in everyone's eyes. As they dispersed, Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the budding hope swell inside her. She grabbed Ethan's hand, ready to take on the day. They made their way to the town office, the scent of fresh ink and paper filling the air, a comforting reminder of community. She approached the desk, the clerk looking up with a friendly smile. "How can I help you today, Sarah?" "I need to look into the property records for the community center," she said. "Can you help me with that?" After a few short minutes, the clerk handed her a file filled with papers. As Sarah flipped through them, her heart raced. Names, dates, ownership, everything began to connect. But just as she was about to unleash her excitement to Ethan, a familiar presence loomed behind her. "It seems like you're digging a little too deep," the stranger's voice sent shivers down her spine. She turned, forcing herself to meet his gaze. "Maybe it's time you start talking. What do you truly want?" An unexpected flicker of surprise crossed his face. "Perhaps more than you realize." With those simple words, Sarah's world tilted on its axis. Was there a deeper connection she had missed? As the tension thickened between them, she realized she was about to uncover something that could change everything. What hidden truth was he holding, and could it be the key to saving their community? Sarah's heart thudded in her chest, the stranger's words hanging in the air like an unfinished melody. She could see the depths of uncertainty in his eyes, mingled with something that resembled regret. The community center wasn't just a building, it was a symbol of hope, community, and love. "Why don't you start with your name?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. A moment of hesitation passed. "I'm Noah," he finally replied. "And I know exactly what the community center means to this town." "Then help me understand why you're here." Her eyes narrowed, demanding an answer. Noah glanced around, as if checking for eavesdroppers. "There's a lot more at stake than just the land. I've been searching for the right way to approach this. I didn't think it would involve confronting you like this." "Searching for what?" Ethan, sensing the building tension, clung to Sarah's side. She felt his small hand tighten around her waist, a comforting anchor in the storm of emotion swarming her mind. Noah stepped closer, lowering his voice. "There are plans to develop this area, but the community center, it holds the key to something bigger. It's tied to the land's future in ways you can't even begin to imagine." "What do you mean?" Sarah felt a mix of anger and curiosity bubbling up within her. "It was built on land that's been preserved for generations. I've tried to protect it, but..." His voice broke slightly, and for a heartbeat, she saw a flicker of vulnerability in his otherwise steady demeanor. "I'm being pushed out by people who see just dollar signs." Sarah digested the information, a swirl of emotions competing for dominance. "So you know who's behind this?" "I do. But knowing the identity doesn't mean I can stop them." The clerk behind the desk cleared her throat, reminding them that they weren't alone. Sarah stepped back, feeling the gravity of Noah's confession settle heavier on her shoulders. This wasn't just about stopping a development, it seemed to weave into a much larger fight, one that encompassed not just their community but the very fabric of what she cherished. "Why did you approach me then?" she pressed, needing to know more. "I thought you'd fight," Noah acknowledged. "There's a strength in you. I can see it. You can't let this go without a fight, and I want to help." His words rang true, igniting something fierce within Sarah. She thought of Ethan, of all the children who would come to the center, and how their futures depended on this battle. Just then, a young boy burst into the office, his face flushed with excitement. "Mom!" he shouted, pointing toward the window. "They're taking everything down. Hurry!" Sarah's stomach dropped, feeling the ground shift beneath her. Panic clawed its way to the forefront of her thoughts, but she shook it off. "We need to go," she declared, her voice filled with urgency. As they rushed out, she caught Noah's eye, and for a brief moment, they seemed to share an unspoken understanding. There was no turning back now. The weight of their community pressed on her, the faces of neighbors flashing in her mind, all bound together by this critical juncture. What would she do when they got there? She could already feel time slipping away. But just as they reached the door, Noah grabbed her arm. "Sarah, wait. There's something I haven't told you." His words hung in the air, ready to unveil another layer of this tangled reality. The moment felt charged, an electric potential brimming with revelation. What secret did he hold that could turn the tide? Would it put everything she fought for at risk or finally offer a glimmer of hope? Noah's voice trembled as he took a breath. The land, it's more than just property. It's been held in trust for the community. There are covenants in place, stipulations that protect it. If they go through with bulldozing the center, they risk a legal fight that could cost them more than they anticipate. I was trying to find a way to present this information without drawing too much attention, but now he glanced around anxiously. Now we don't have time to waste. As they rushed towards the community center, Sarah felt her heart race. You mean there's a chance? A legal fight? Her mind raced with possibilities, each one more promising than the last. Yes, but we'll need evidence, documents that prove the community's claim. I can help you dig deeper, but we have to move fast. They're not just taking the center, they're taking your sense of home. His urgency was infectious as they hurried through the crowd, their feet pounding against the pavement. Reaching the community center, the scene was chaotic. A small group of workers stood by a bulldozer, while residents crowded around, expressions of disbelief painted on their faces. Families linked arms, determined to protect the space that had been their refuge. Everyone! Sarah shouted, her voice rising above the murmuring crowd. Listen! We have a chance to save the center. Gasps echoed through the throng. Noah has information about our rights. But we need to act, and we need to show them how much this matters. Hope flickered in the eyes surrounding her, yet Sarah could feel trepidation lurking. She realized now that the fight was about more than just bricks and mortar. It was about love for the memories created within those walls, for every laugh, every tear, every dream that had taken shape there. As Noah began explaining the legalities to the crowd, Sarah couldn't help but be inspired by the way they rallied together. From now on, we need to keep our voices strong. She echoed through. We're not just protecting a building, we're safeguarding our future. As they began gathering signatures for a petition, more and more neighbors arrived to show support, adding their names with fervor. Children painted banners, each one a testament to Tommy's spirit and the joy the center provided. Together we rise, someone shouted, igniting cheers. Ethan stood by her side, clutching his crayon depiction of the center, eyes alight with admiration as the adults worked. It filled Sarah with hope. Tears prickled her eyes. This was Tommy's legacy in action, transforming grief into purpose. Just as the momentum built, a man in a suit sidled up to the bulldozer, throwing a glance at the crowd. Do you really think this will stop progress? He sneered. Change has to happen, and the community center is an eyesore. Sarah's heart raced again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was a fierce determination. This isn't about progress, she called out, her voice cutting through the air like glass. It's about people. About love. You can't bulldoze our community just for profit. The crowd surged, voices rising in urgent solidarity. The man faltered as he realized the depth of their passion and commitment. Give us a chance to prove how much this means. We will show the council that the heart of this community is worth preserving. Sarah's words rang out, igniting cheers and spirited affirmations. Noah nodded beside her, his belief unwavering. We'll prepare our findings, and we'll go to the council together. They can't ignore a community this passionate. As the workers hesitated, displaced by the overwhelming strength of the community's spirit, Sarah felt that small flicker inside her heart transform into a blazing flame. Behind her stood families, friends, children, all united in purpose. The suit-clad figure glanced back at her, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Her voice grew steady and resolute. We will fight for Tommy's dream and our future, here and now. Will you stand with us? Cheers erupted once more, deafening and stunning, a resounding heart that pulsed with life. At that moment, just outside of that community center, Sarah understood. Grief didn't just exist, it could fuel change. Together, they were stronger than any setback. She clenched Ethan's small hand in hers, feeling the warmth of hope swirl between them. The fight wasn't over, it had only just begun. And if they faced it together, fueled by love and belief in their community, they could change everything. With a fiery resolve, Sarah stepped forward, looking into the eyes of her neighbors. This is just the beginning. Together, we can create a future where our children can thrive. Let us show them what we can do. And as they stood together, their voices unwavering, Sarah felt power surge through her, a power that could reshape their future for all the kids to come. Now, they had no choice but to rise. This is when you need to subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss another inspiring story of transformation and hope like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know this message resonates. Comment down below your thoughts on today's journey and how it made you feel. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this message of unity and strength. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support.